Hello friends, most of you, all of you must be preparing for CAT 2019 on Sunday, November 24th. And I'm going to talk to you about some last minute tips. My name is Shriram, I'm associated with T.I.M.E, Pune. And many of you must have seen me in class, teaching either a concept in quant or a topic in DILR. So, those of you who see me in class are familiar with the way I think, and many of the things I'm going to say today are actually a compilation, a summary, a repetition of what I've said over the course of the year. First of all, an exam like CAT, which is a common admissions test, the keyword is common, is an exam taken by graduates or last year students of many branches, engineering, as well as BCom, the BBAs, the BScs, BPharm, agriculture, whatever. So what is common to the educational background of all these students? And the common things are that they've all studied arithmetic, they've studied geometry, they have studied basic algebra, they are familiar with puzzles such as Venn diagram, arrangements, chart filling, and maybe calculations based DI. And so it is guaranteed that you will see many questions on these topics, arithmetic, geometry, etc. You should be able to do them confidently because you have studied them right from high school. And there will be enough questions on these topics. The first row for quant and the second row for DILR, that you will be able to handle this exam very, very peacefully. If you answer all those questions, I'm sure you will be able to do well, get a good percentile. Nobody can exactly predict how many questions will come in arithmetic, how many questions in geometry. That is far too detailed a prediction. But I can assure you, there will be enough questions for you to do. The exam will not be full of questions only on higher math. The exam will not be full of the most difficult level questions. So, if you can relax during the exam and in this last week or last few days approaching the exam, then believe me, this demon, what most people think is the most difficult exam in the world, is not that difficult at all. Such exams, such entrance exams like CAT, require you to combine your knowledge with your smartness. It's impossible to improve your knowledge in the last few days, at the last minute. So don't worry about it. Even if you've not understood something completely, don't worry about it. That's just a basic understanding of something like permutation, combination, maybe factorials is enough. So do not study too much in the last few days. What you want to do actually is improve or remind yourself about the smartness to be used in the exam. Now what is smartness? Few years ago the smartness used to be which section to do first and how many minutes to spend on each of those sections. Now that freedom has been taken away by CAT. You have the three sections in a particular order, and on each of those three sections you have to spend exactly 1 hour each. So given that is not available as something to do, now what is the smartness that you can employ while doing a particular section? The smartness then becomes which caselet you want to choose, which RC passage you want to choose, which quant question you want to choose, and how do you want to answer the question. These are the two distinct components of being smart in the exam. So whenever you read something, an RC passage, a DI, LR caselet or a quant question, ask yourself, is it easy? Is it medium level difficulty or extremely hard that I really cannot hope to answer it all? Now what are the indicators for the difficulty level? The indicators are something that you've never seen before. Something that is a very difficult concept, you never really master it. Maybe the question, the RC passage, the data given in DILS is too long, takes too much time to read all that. Maybe all the questions are they have question specific data. Maybe all the RC questions are indirect, asking about the tone of the passage, the qualification of the author and things like that. Maybe there are some theta questions which are naturally more difficult than MCQ. So these are the indicators of level of difficulty. What do you do with that mental check? My suggestion to you is that if you see an easy question, an easy passage, or an easy caselet, immediately do it. Do not postpone. Do not take a complete review of the section. That is just a waste of time. And because the other passages and other caselets are likely to be more difficult, you will get nervous. So you come back to the easy caselet. So when you see something easy, please immediately do it. When you see something which is doable but not very confidently, I think you should flag it. You can come back to this question or this caselet when you are done with all the easy ones. And when you see something that's difficult, I've already talked about what makes a question or a caselet difficult, please do not look at it again. Because your time will be spent on doing all the easy questions and all the medium questions that you've flagged. So do not worry about this at all. Even when you do a caselet or even an RC passage, speed read first and then take a look at the questions, choose or categorize it as per level of difficulty, and do the easier questions first. Even out of those four, there are some questions which are easier than the others. That question may not be question number 1, it may be question number 2 or question number 3. So please do the easier questions first and do the medium or difficult questions on that caselet later. This is being smart. This has got nothing to do with how much subject knowledge you have. Once you have categorized this and attempting it in this fashion, then how do you answer a particular question becomes another level of heart and another aspect of being smart. In MCQ questions, you must keep it in mind that your entire job is to select the most appropriate option. Your method, your solution is not at all relevant to the examiners. They will take away all the rough sheets that you worked on because they do not want anything to be leaked out of the exam hall. But that doesn't mean that they are going to check whether you actually solved the problem or not. So, since your job is to select the most appropriate option, your entire focus has to be, is my working, whatever little working I have done on the question, sufficient to choose the options all the time? And so, the so-called shortcuts of simplifying the problem, drawing a diagram, taking a special case, are all part of this. They will help you to choose the most appropriate option. Do not fall in the trap of proving your answer correct. That is an absolute waste of time. So focus on this, use all the tricks that you know, and you'll be fine. So options, options, and options. Employ all this throughout your quant section particularly, and maybe DILR as well. In RC, it is surprising that the most efficient method of choosing the right answer for RC is one of elimination. You eliminate the options based on whatever you know about RC. Are they too general? Are they too specific? Are they irrelevant? This kind of very, very logical thinking has to be employed, and RC becomes easy. If you read the 4 options together and think about which one of these options is correct, you're going to get confused, totally confused. So adopt all these techniques to answer the questions. So selection of question, selection of caselet, and then selection of the method to answer that question. So this is part of smartness. Knowledge you cannot really hope to improve last minute. This is just a reminder how to deal with this exam called CAT when you are doing the exam. Now last minute tips. So I'm going to talk just a few minutes, maybe a minute only, for what you should do for last day and a half or 2 days, right from, let us say, Friday evening to Sunday, the day on which you are going to take the test. My suggestion to you is that you do not think about CAT, you do not solve any problems, do not talk to anyone about CAT, whether it is your friend or classmate or colleague or your family. Just forget that on Sunday you are going to write CAT. Then what should you do in these last 2 days? I have a small suggestion here. In last 2 days, just mug up. Mug up the formulae that you think are useful in the quant section or DILR section. Mug them up. Remember only for those last 2 days till Sunday, whichever your slot is, morning or afternoon. After that you can forget it. So use your short-term memory in last 2 days to remember all the formulae. Please do not try to remember them beforehand, because otherwise you would have remembered them anyway. All these things have been covered in our classroom course, all these things have been covered in our study material, all these things are there in many questions related to our AIMCATs. So those of you who paid attention to your material, attended classes regularly and analyzed your AIMCATs would realize that this is just a rehash, a recompilation, a summary of whatever you have learned throughout the course. So remember that. This last minute, I'm not going to give you any gyan, anything which is extraordinarily magical or a last minute pill. It is just a summary. Now this is, the last topic is something which is interesting. There are 3 sections. Each section lasts for 1 hour. I suggest that you have a physical method of relaxing yourself as you go from one section to the other. Close your eyes for just 5 seconds. Take a couple of deep breaths, whatever suits your constitution, whatever is a method that can relax you. If you don't do that, what will happen is that if a section had been difficult, DILR particularly is a difficult section, and going to quant, you are thinking about that the DILR section has been difficult and I'm done. My goose is cooked. I'm not going to do well. If that happens, you are not going to do well even in quant, even though you are an expert in quant. So relax between the sections, forget what has happened, that's already in the past. So learn a technique or adopt a technique for a few seconds. That time is very, very important. It is not going to subtract from whatever other attempts you're going to have in that section. So relax. And the last thing is, if you find that things are going very easy, very smooth, I think you should thank your stars and continue to do as many attempts as you can, utilizing the full 1 hour given to that section. Do not have a fixed idea about the number of attempts and stop, let us say, at 23 in quant. If it's easy, utilize the entire hour. And if things prove to be difficult, that you cannot find enough easy or medium level questions, thank your stars once again. Because this is the type of exam where you can actually show your skill on the metal. A good student will stand out much more when the exam is difficult. Imagine that everybody gets 95 marks out of 100 in a particular exam. How is a good student supposed to show his ability? In fact, if he makes 1 or 2 stupid mistakes, his score would be 90 and he will be at the bottom of the barrel. So that's not good. Easy exams are not good for good students. Difficult exams are good, and that is where you can show your skills. So 1 or 2 human errors here and there, not going to matter much. So all these thoughts, if you think about them, about this exam, before, during and afterwards, you will be much less nervous, much less anxious. And that is, I think, is my objective in giving you some last minute tips. Thank you very much, and all the best for the exam on Sunday.